watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. You are looking at Jay Collins, who has just been sworn in as Florida's new lieutenant governor after being appointed to that position by Governor Ron DeSantis. That announcement made this morning, and Lieutenant Governor Collins speaking right now at the Tampa Green Beret Association's team house in Tampa. He's been speaking for about 10 minutes after being sworn in. Let's go ahead and listen in as he continues.
America wins. That. So I always end my speeches the same way, and it's this. God bless each of you. God bless the great state of Florida, and may God continue to bless these United States. Deo Presto Liber.
They are walking off the stage there. Does not appear that they will be taking questions at this news conference. That's kind of what I was listening for to see. It does appear that the governor and the lieutenant governor, as well as the first lady, the second lady, are shaking hands with the folks in the crowd there. Let's go ahead and listen here.
So I was just informed by my wife, this is really important, there is food, there is a reception after here. So go out in the back, let's mingle, have a conversation. Thanks, guys.
All right, no questions because there are more pressing matters, it sounds like. Some refreshments, food and drinks at giving the new lieutenant governor a chance to meet with some of those folks in the crowd. So if you didn't know, Jay Collins is a state senator and was first elected in 2022. He's a retired 23-year Army Green Beret, has been running a nonprofit that provides meals to first responders in disaster zones. He also recently helped organize those rescue flights for the Americans being evacuated out of Israel. So State Senator Jay Collins, now Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, and he was speaking after being sworn in just a few minutes ago. Good morning and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. We do have a lot more to get to as well. You'll hear more from Jay Collins likely later in the show. We are also tracking the tropics as Tropical Storm Erin continues to gather strength. We will check in with Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner on that in just a couple of minutes. We are also standing by here for Sheriff Grady Judd, getting ready to hold a news conference. We are expecting for him to talk about multiple arrests in a riot in Lake Winterset over the weekend. According to the sheriff's office, there was a social media video that showed multiple people fighting. We expect some updates on that coming up in just a little bit. The sheriff scheduled to hold a news conference at 11 o'clock, so we do expect him to speak any minute now and give those results. We're also monitoring this commission meeting out of Lake County, where the board just a few minutes ago was hearing a presentation about growth in the county. They held several meetings. They also conducted a survey where they got some results from about 1,500 residents in Lake County, trying to see their thoughts on growth, on development, and on a number of issues that have to do with that. Some interesting conversation there. So we will hopefully have time to touch on that this morning as well. Now, this afternoon, we should note that there's some conversation in Seminole County that we are also monitoring. The county commission there is meeting right now, but we are waiting to see what comes up out of discussion this afternoon when it comes to possible increase of the gas tax. So we will check in on that coming up in just a little bit as well. In fact, but let's go ahead now and check in with Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, who joins us live now from Studio A. And Brooks, we were just talking about Tropical Storm Erin. I know that's on the radar. Meanwhile, we are dealing with some heat already here in Central Florida today.
You are right. It's one of those classic August tales of two weather stories. We've got the heat and humidity on the second day back to school and that tropical system. So 88 degrees already right now in Orlando as we head toward this midday hour, this lunch hour. We're on the way to 93 today, 95 at Claremont, 90 at Daytona. You know, we got some rain on the way this afternoon. Earlier, it looked like we had about a 40 to 50% chance. Now it looks like our rain chances maybe just a little bit higher this afternoon. And already we are tracking a couple of showers here along I-95 and also in Osceola County using our Fox 35 storm tracker radar. And this stuff is highly isolated, but it's locally pretty torrential. And you can actually see it on the cameras pretty well. We'll take a look at that in a second on the beaches. But the thinking today is that as this heads inland by 3 o'clock, which is when school lets out for most districts, we may be dodging a couple of downpours and a couple of lightning storms. By 5, this may work into Orlando, impacting our evening commute. And then by dinner time and later, heading toward Tampa Bay and the I-75 corridor. As far as the live camera, here it is, Daytona Beach. You can see that downpour. So here on the beach, it's pretty nice, but just inland, it's not so nice. Now, very important to note, if you're going to the beach today or tomorrow or really any day the rest of the summer, if you hear thunder or you especially see lightning, those streaks of lightning, just know that those lightning bolts can jump more than 10 miles from the storm. So you want to get off the beach if that happens. That appears to be just a shower, but we could have a couple of thunderstorms before the day is out. And more applicably, Garrett, to what you were talking about with the tropics, the water temperature now at Daytona Beach is 85 degrees. That's also the case down through Brevard County. And that's important because if a tropical storm was to approach our area or a hurricane, not only would it maintain its strength, but it could strengthen. All you need is about 82 degrees, and we're at 85 degrees. That said, Saharan dust with the satellite on top of that. You can see this swirl right here. This is Tropical Storm Aaron, currently embattled in drying Saharan dust. It's like a big paper towel. It kind of mops up the moisture, slows down its development potential. But this could be a problem because while you wouldn't think it's a problem, you know, it's a good thing that this gets weakened by this dust. The weaker it is, the farther west it'll go and the closer to Florida. So the sort of ironic hope here is that you want it to strengthen up quickly so it tends to curve away without making any threats to the U.S. East Coast. Now, the National Hurricane Center, as of 11 a.m., the brand new outlook is calling for a hurricane to develop by Thursday morning. This would be the first hurricane of the season. From there, it works over very hot waters and becomes a major hurricane by Saturday night or Sunday morning, a Category 3. And from there, obviously, this is not a good-looking direction for us, especially if it stays weaker and goes farther west. But the spaghetti models persist. This is a culmination of all of the different computer models that as this tracks west, it will make the turn. It will be strong enough north of Puerto Rico to get picked up by the upper level winds, make the turn and head out to sea, perhaps the peril of Bermuda. And the thinking again is the bigger the storm, the more likely it is to be influenced by those steering winds. So we're looking at our suite of models like this European ensemble model, which is a combination of 51 of the European models to get an idea of the consensus of where it's going, as well as the GFS model. And so far, while some of them take it close to Florida, most of them keep it safely out to sea. So just check in a couple times this week to get an update in case that forecast changes. At this point, it looks like it will curve out to sea. So in review today, we're going to top out about 93 degrees at 4 and then cool down into the low 80s by this evening. We've got about a 40 to 60% chance for rain, depending on from where you're watching across Central Florida. And in the 7-day forecast, it's going to be hot with mid-90s straight through the weekend. The temperature's running about 1 to 3 degrees warmer than normal with about a 40 to 50% chance for rain each day. So Garrett, we'll keep a very close eye on that system. Of course, be sure to tune in this evening. Noah Berggren is in with our Fox 35 news starting at 5 p.m.
All right, to Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you breaking down that for us.
You got it. My pleasure as always. Thank you, Garrett.
We are going to go to break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but as we do so, give you a live look from our launch credit union camera ahead of a expected launch of a ULA Vulcan rocket later today. This is a U.S. Space Force mission. Liftoff scheduled for sometime between 7:59 and 8:59 p.m. tonight at Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We're going to take a break, still standing by for the start of that news conference in Polk County. We'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I want to give you a live look inside the Polk County Sheriff's Office in Winter Haven, where we expect to hear from Sheriff Grady Judd any minute now, giving an update on several arrests in what he calls a riot at Lake Winterset over the weekend. Apparently a social media video showed several people fighting there at the lake, and so they've made some arrests. There's been an investigation into this. We don't really have any other details other than that right now. We are expecting Sheriff Grady Judd to speak any minute now. He was scheduled to have this news conference at 11 o'clock, now 11:12, so we do expect him any minute now, and we will get you to that as soon as it begins. A few minutes ago, I was telling you about what we're watching in a Seminole County Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is going on right now. The morning session is, at least. They will take a break for lunch, and one of the things that they will be discussing this afternoon is potentially increasing the gas tax in Seminole County. This is something that would obviously cost you more when you fill up your gas tank in Seminole County, and Fox 35's Marley Capper has more on what that would look like.
Going to impact you potentially if this is passed starting January of 2026. There's going to be an added 5 cents per gallon tax, which is really going to mean that you're going to have to kind of stretch your gas, or your wallet might stretch a little bit because of this. County leaders say that the money will go straight into road and transit projects to improve safety and keep traffic moving. Now the cash will be split between the county and cities using the state's formula, with the option to strike a new deal down the road. Now right now the tax is 7 cents. It would add another 5 cents to go up to 12 cents, and this would kick in for the next 50 years. Orange and Lake County have a 6 cents sales tax, and Volusia and Osceola have a 12 cent sales tax. So this could go up to 12 cents for Seminole County as well. Now, bottom line is you could be paying more if you're filling up here in Seminole County, but that meeting to decide this starts at 1:30 this afternoon.
So we will be monitoring that here. We should note that this comes just a week or two after the Seminole County Commissioners approved an increase in property taxes for the first time in a number of years as well. Also happening today, virtual hearings going on for defendants accused in this illegal gambling ring that resulted in the arrests of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez, a number of other defendants as well. One of those co-defendants had a hearing this morning. The rest of them are scheduled, their attorneys are at least, are scheduled to meet and discuss a plea negotiation coming up this afternoon. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie explains.
So the big takeaway from that hearing this morning is that Judge Brian Welke has set some new dates, October 9th for a pretrial hearing, and the trial date of October 20th, which he estimates to take about 2 weeks, and will feature Marcos Lopez and the 4 other co-defendants taking their defense at the same time. Now, all of the co-defendants have pled not guilty to 2 federal counts of racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering, which, if found guilty, could mean up to 30 years in prison.
I want to go ahead and get you now to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, where Sheriff Grady Judd just walked in, getting ready to talk about this case. Let's go ahead and listen in.
We tried to coach, we tried to counsel, we pled, we begged, we did everything we could in order to get people to comply on the lakes, on the chain of lakes, and specifically Lake Winterset, and even more specifically in the area they call the Point. We realize you go out on the boat to have fun. We realize you go out to be with your family. But there's a few people who do things that's so outrageous that it shocks the community. And let me give you some examples of conduct that we saw prior to just this weekend. And at one point in time, I did a video or a piece and showed a picture of someone defecating in someone's yard. And I got all of this, oh, but they were in the bushes and all that. You're in somebody's backyard going to the bathroom. And then we've got these pictures, okay? Now, I don't know if he's saying, hey, let me help you out of the tree. The private property sign, I guess they thought that was only for the bird. Maybe you should say, hello, Mom, what do you think? Or, this is up close and personal. Or, what about this? What are you doing? You playing hide and seek? That's interesting. Or maybe she's saying, do you need a beer? But she's whispering it to him real quiet like. You know what I'm saying? So this conduct is happening in the middle of the afternoon in people's backyards where they're trespassing, or on a boat where she's standing in the water adjacent to people's homes, where there are people who are trying to enjoy their own life, where there are people with children, and this kind of sexual activity is happening in the public. So we've tried to work with people, but the game's over. And I'll tell you why the game's over. I want to show you this sign. What we're going to talk about today happened on a lot where we have at least 15 of these signs. It's in an area of a vacant lot where they pull up to, and instead of staying in the water, where there's a loophole, as long as their feet are in the water, they can be at your back door. But then they get up onto people's property. You see, this sign says, by order of the sheriff. This is not a suggestion. So a week ago, we received a 911 call where there were a group of individuals who wants to be, again, being raucous and out of control and fighting. By the time the deputies arrived, they had fled. We chased down one boat, and there were two people there that said, hey, yeah, a couple of guys had a fight, but it's broken up and it's cool, and they wouldn't cooperate. But our Marine Patrol folks, who are the very best, got into this investigation because they created a significant disturbance once again. So I want to tell everyone, so mom and dad and friends can be very impressed. Here's who we've arrested. Now, let me go over this for you. These groups of people were at one time friends. And apparently back in March, there's a local bar called the El Rodeo Bar where a fight occurred, and there were some criminal charges filed. Well, some of the group didn't like the fact that there were criminal charges filed, and we're looking into tampering with evidence. But now, a week ago, at this disturbance, these folks kind of ended up at the point. And it started with talking to each other and screaming and hollering at each other. And then they got to fighting up on the land. Oh, they were fighting, if you can see where part of the scrum occurred, there's one guy laying on the ground knocked out between two of our no trespassing signs. So our investigation took us to arrest them. Now we have Tim Gooding here. He's our sucker puncher. You know, he'll run up behind you and knock you out cold. He knocked another person out into the water. In addition to that, this Peyton Ely, who's 19, we charged him by affidavit a couple of months ago when he called up Uber Eats, ordered some beer, and walked through people's yard out to the road to get the beer to go back to the lake. Listen to me, folks. This is long past a joking matter. We've coached, we've pled, we've begged, and once again, you see what we got. A bunch of kids have gone to jail. These guys are 23, 19, 21. Richard's 40. He's way old enough to know better. 22, 21, 21, and 17. Gavin Gooding is Tim Gooding's juvenile brother. So he picked up, in addition to riot, disorderly conduct, affray, he got a contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Nate Land, and once again, all these folks were friends at one time. The bottom line to this is you go, oh, what's the big deal? I want you to think about this. I want you to think that you go home this afternoon or this weekend, and you're in your backyard, and these folks, whether they're in boats or vehicles, pull up to the edge of your property, put on their music, to blast using the F word with your children there, and that goes on all afternoon. And then they roll out in a big mob into your yard and fight. And you know, if you're not fighting, you can do other things that start with an F, like this in the yard. We're over it. Now, I'm going to give you one last warning. Our Marine Patrol people are going to be out there. Some you're going to see, some you're not going to see. But write this down in your little book. We're going to put people in jail this weekend for conduct that we previously tried to warn you about. So, go home and get your bond money together right now. You can carry it in your pocket. It'll help you get out of jail quicker. We're going to take you to jail, but also bring enough money, because we're going to tow your truck, we're going to tow your car, we're going to tow your wave runners, we're going to lock y'all up until you figure out that you can't misbehave in the community, that you can't fight, that you can't knock people unconscious. It's over, folks. It's over. You've taken advantage of our good nature, of trying to allow people to enjoy the waterway, because I think it's important that you're with your family on the water doing family things. But when a group of these knuckleheads want to disrupt everyone else using the lake, that's not happening. Now, if you have 3 brain cells, you can read a no trespassing sign. When it says by order of the sheriff, that isn't a suggestion. And by the way, I want you to know this. If you want to go knuckle busting and create permanent brain injuries, or the ability to have a permanent brain injury, you can knuckle bust, you can create brain injuries to each other, but you have to do it on your own property without creating a disturbance to your neighbors. It's over, folks. I think I've said that enough. So the conduct is reprehensible, and obviously you don't believe us when we try to warn you. So you have unleashed the teeth of the dog. And now we're going to start biting you, just like we bit these guys here. Okay? Any questions? Okay, now well, let me show you the video. You may have more questions. Here's the video.
We are getting ready to, we will keep listening in. I do want to give you a viewer discretion warning here. We are told there's some profanity in this video. You're also going to see some women in thongs, we are told. Let's go ahead and listen in, but just a warning that there may be some language here.
Knocks him out into the water.
There's a child there on the boat.
There's lots of children around. One on the boat, watching all of that nonsense. At the end of the day, you're going to jail this weekend, just like these guys did. We're going to load you up.
Sheriff, your office recommended the county set up a swim area, vessel exclusion zone there. The county unanimously voted to approve it. It sounds like somewhere in the state, FWC has either held that up or rejected it.
What happens when you pass a county ordinance, and our Board of County Commissioners have been tremendous. We asked for a swim zone so we could help monitor this. They unanimously passed it. It has to be filed with the Secretary of State before it takes effect. They sent it to the Secretary of State. They had some questions about it. They sent it over FWC. FWC had some questions. FWC has sent it back to the county. My attorneys are meeting with the county attorneys today in order to see what it is that the state wants tweaked so we can put that in place. We're also going to work with the county to see if we can enhance the noise ordinance on the lake as well. We are doing what we can. We have historically tried to warn, to educate, because we want families together on our lakes having a good time together. But these kind of knuckleheads here doing this stuff just disrupts everything. And then you get in people's backyard. Look at this line of boats that's up to someone's backyard. Now imagine that. Imagine you're home this weekend and you can supplant cars for boats, and all of a sudden they pull up to the back property line of your house and blare their music and drink beer. How are you going to like that? And how is it good for the child on the boat to see that behavior? And it's a blessing that the guy was only knocked unconscious, that he did not sustain some significant injury or permanent injury.
Is it true there's no noise ordinance on boats underground?
That's correct. We cover cars, we cover houses. Boats are more complicated because noise on a lake can skip and travel across the lake. So we have not had the need in the past, because when we asked people to turn the music down, they would turn the music down. But we have gotten to the point where some just don't want to comply with the law, so we're going to strengthen the law. But we've got plenty of laws. But these warnings and these education opportunities are going to turn into citations and physical arrest.
You said you have put out several warnings. How often are you guys called to this area to respond to incidents like this?
Every weekend.
And is this like the first time we've actually gotten video?
No, I mean, here's pictures that neighbors have sent us. We've got all kinds of pictures. We got pictures of people popping a squat in their hedges. Is that okay? Is that okay? Well, if you're a moron that thinks it is, you're a moron. And if you have trouble understanding what a moron is, look in the mirror and you can see one.
So Sheriff, as long as these people stay in the water, are they going to still be allowed to pull up there?
When this ordinance passes, no. In these swim zones, they can only swim there. The boats will have to stay out of the swim zones. And that's part of what we're waiting on now. That will give us additional tools to deal with the issue.
So right now, as long as their feet are in the water, they can be in that area?
Absolutely.
And to clarify, there have been signs, but this sign is different because it says...
No, this sign's not. There's been other signs, but we went in a while back on this man's property and helped install these signs to try to keep people out of or off of his property. And I'll be the first to tell you, someone gets hurt on this property, they'll try to sue this man. They'll try to sue him. Oh, I got hurt on your property. Well, I got 15 signs up, he's going to say. Why did you trespass? Well, I can assure you of one thing. You put one toe on that land this weekend, you're going to jail. You stand in the water and put your finger up on that dry land, and you're going to jail.
Sheriff, do you have an ETA on when the ordinance will be worked out?
We've been working on this ordinance for a long time. Government does not work quickly. People who work for government have a 20 or 25-year retirement plan. Sometimes they want to use every bit of it before they get something done. I can tell you our Board of County Commissioners worked rapidly on it. Our county attorney worked rapidly on it. And now we're working through the government nuances, which is okay. But I would tell you now we're closer to having it done than we ever have been in the past.
Do these issues pop up every year around summer, or is this something you just...
Oh, year-round, because Florida is a year-round state on the water.
see a lot of open containers in those photos. I mean, you guys going to be enforcing the open container?
We're going to enforce everything. Now, it's not against the law to pass gas in public. If it were, we'd arrest you for that too. But there's not going to be any more warnings. You're through and past our good nature. So plan to be arrested. Bring lots of bond money, because if you violate the law here, you're going to jail. We've not made a lot of arrests. We've done a lot of education and a lot of warning and a lot of pleading. And the reality of it is, what you don't see here are families trying to enjoy this lake. They're trying to ski, they're trying to use their wave runners, they're obeying the law, and then you have people that are doing this sort of nonsense. Now, there's more investigation to occur. There's more criminal charges. I'm sure we're still identifying some of the people that were up on the property. But we've got the primary agitators right here. And now they've gone to jail.
So the two people that you guys were able to stop before they all fled, are they on that graphic?
Yes, they are. I believe they're on this graphic too. And once again, there's other investigation, or this investigation is still ongoing. All right? So, you can start on the lake this weekend and get you a nice suntan before we lock you up in the jail where we don't have any sun lamps. See y'all later.
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd wrapping up a news conference where he talked about a number of arrests in connection with that large fight that broke out. You saw the video, the cell phone video that he showed during that news conference. You could see a couple people looked like knocked out cold. It's over, he said. That was the message from the sheriff during that news conference, talking about ongoing problems with trespassing on people's private property around Lake Winterset, issues with fighting, as we saw. He said drinking, defecating, sexual activity even. So they are now threatening arrests, threatening towing, basically saying that if you step foot onto that private property now, that you will be arrested. So that was from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd talking about those multiple arrests, 8 people arrested in connection with that fight there over the weekend. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we have much more to come here on Fox Local and on YouTube, so keep it right here.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I do want to let you know a couple of things we're monitoring. This is a live look outside the National Guard Armory in Washington, D.C., where members of the National Guard are reporting for duty after President Trump's announcement of deploying the National Guard to help with crime and homelessness in the District of Columbia. We've seen a number of those soldiers walk by over the last little bit. We've had that live picture up for you. We are also getting ready for a launch tonight from Florida's Space Coast. ULA Vulcan rocket. It is they're carrying a national security payload. It is from Space Launch Complex 41, I believe. Trying to double check here. Yeah, 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, targeting 7:59 for that launch. There is a 1-hour launch window if they need to push things back a little bit. The big news this morning out of Florida politics is that the state of Florida has a new lieutenant governor. It is Jay Collins, a state senator from the Tampa area who was appointed to that post by Governor Ron DeSantis this morning, sworn into office already as well. We had the very end of that event for you when we began our show here at 11. I do want to go ahead and play for you the remarks from Senator Collins as he talked about what this means to him and some of his priorities as he now steps into this higher role of lieutenant governor after being elected to state senate in 2022. As I mentioned earlier, he is also a veteran, a retired 23-year Army Green Beret. This is Senator Collins speaking after being sworn in as lieutenant governor this morning.
Thank each of you. I just can't thank you enough for being here. I see people from work with OBR, volunteers who have served day in and day out with us. I see other elected representatives. I see friends from all walks of life, law enforcement, first responders, our military, and of course Layla, Gabe, and Colt. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Casey and Lieutenant Governor, or Governor. We're not there yet. Casey and Governor, thank you. Thank you. I know. But I do want to make a couple of little adjustments to what was put out there. First off, I didn't lose my leg. I do know where it is. It's just not with me anymore. So you got to have a little humor with this. But good afternoon. I really want to thank the governor and the First Lady for their trust and their faith in myself and our family. It means the world to me. You know, I didn't grow up with privilege or wealth. I was adopted, raised by my grandparents. I watched my father pass away before I was really a man, and later chose to serve our nation, to fight for a nation that afforded me every opportunity to climb out of those circumstances that rose up, to be something new, something dynamic, something unique to my family. You see, I grew up in a trailer, but in our nation, you're not defined by that. There are opportunities ahead of everybody. When the governor called and we talked through this and we had this opportunity, you know, you don't hesitate. Because when you've lived a life of service, when you've worn the cloth of our nation, and you stood in the fire, and you fought for something greater than yourself, as many in this room have, so many of my brothers and sisters here, you don't flinch when that next mission comes up. You just say, yes, sir, let's go. And that's what makes this opportunity so meaningful, is that Governor DeSantis, and you know, he doesn't talk about this enough, and it's something I am so incredibly proud of. He's a combat deployed Navy veteran. He's a warrior in and of his own service and self. And sir, thank you for what you've done. Your naval history and your service matters. When you talk to him, you notice the ethos, the approach, that military mindset in all that he does. You know he's combat deployed, but what he is now is a conservative constitutional warrior. Is there any doubt that he has our best interests, our people's best interests in heart and in mind in every single thing he does? It's incredible. He's a man who has never turned his back on a fight. He's especially those fights that matter to Floridians, the things that matter the very, very most. Under his leadership, Florida didn't just survive, we led on so many things: freedom, education, public safety, the Constitution. The list is incredibly long. And nobody can debate the fact that today, Florida is the conservative proving grounds of the United States of America because this family put us there. But it's important to know that just as fast as we got it, we can lose it. Florida must remain the best state in the nation to build, grow, and relocate families and businesses. To accomplish this, we have to build on the successes of the past by embracing the additional bold, forward-looking solutions. Thanks to Governor DeSantis, we already have the #1 economy in the country, but we must not slow down. We can't reverse course and revert to many of the failed policies and misguided priorities we've seen come out of Congress. We have to keep fighting to keep Florida free, but to keep our economy growing and flowing, because that's what our people need. That's what Florida needs. We must continue to keep Florida safe in the communities and protect the quality of life that we all greatly value. You know, we always stand with our men and women in blue, no matter what goes on. No matter what goes on. When we had the Summer of Love, as it's affectionately been called, when people were turning their back on our law enforcement, when they didn't know where to turn, you know where that didn't happen? It didn't happen here in Florida. Because we stand with our law enforcement, we have their back unequivocally, and we mean that in everything we do. We will always continue to enforce our immigration laws. You heard the governor speak about this. If we don't have a boundary, we don't have a border, we don't respect our people enough to fight for immigration laws, we've lost everything. And that's why Florida has led on this incredibly important subject. We'll always stand ready to help Floridians who face the wrath of natural disasters. You heard the governor and Joey and so many speak about this. Guys, when the chips are on the line and hard times have happened and the worst things in your life have happened, Florida doesn't back down. We don't turn our backs. We step up and we serve and we lead and we make sure that we get things back to where they were and better. That's the Florida way. And we've always stood up to special interests who want to make our public spaces open to drug use and take down our quality of life. Y'all, this is not the place, that is not the game, and we will not back down in that fight. As your Lieutenant Governor, I fully intend that I'm going to help the governor and our entire administration continue to fight for those values, for the things that made Florida strong. We're going to continue to stand firm with our families. If you believe in education, you believe in choice, and you believe that families have the right to choose and drive their education home because of what Governor DeSantis and this great state has done. Thanks to the bold leadership of Governor DeSantis, Florida is a national model of fiscal responsibility. Our rainy day fund, fully funded, we've paid down more debt than you can ever imagine, and we're just getting started. We have reduced the size of our government, reduced the size of our debt, and reduced our budget year over year. Do you know of any other state in the union that happens? Wouldn't it be great if Congress applied a little bit of that Florida logic to business and life? So you'll notice a theme here, and why is that? And what is the theme? It's that we got to leave things better than we got it. Ultimately, we're here to do one thing: protect and preserve the things we love, those truths that are hallowed and God-given, that our nation and our state protect. That's what Governor DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, my family, and so many others have continued to fight for. We have to preserve those because our founding fathers passed something pretty unique to us. It's our job to make sure our kids have that same opportunity. We must continue to fight. And I'm leaving a group of people here that are really important to me, and that's our veterans. If you wear the cloth, if you've worn the cloth, or you serve in any manner or any way, I want you to know that unequivocally we have your back, we have your six, and we will do all we can to continue to make this state the most veteran-friendly state. And Hammer, we are just getting started. Do you agree with me on that? To our first responders, I want you to know that when I tell you you deserve every bit of the time, the tools, and the training necessary to complete your mission and get back to your family safely, I mean that without equivocation. Governor DeSantis, our family, Casey DeSantis, we have your back. We will not turn our back on those who serve our community. We are with you each step along the way. And I want your families to know that we appreciate your service, we appreciate your sacrifice, and what you do matters. You serve our community in so many ways. God bless you for what you do, guys. Now, as I stand before you today, I am truly honored to be appointed by the governor. Not just any governor, Florida's governor, America's governor, the GOAT, to help him finish the mission and keep Florida strong. Now, friends, the battlefield, it may change, but the mission, it stays the same. We are going to protect and preserve every single thing that matters. We will not stop our fight. We will not slow down. We will continue to take the fight forward, because this is not politics. It is about people. It is about the people in this audience, the people we fight for, and the people we remember each and every day.
That is Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins speaking earlier today in Tampa, just moments after being sworn in, after the announcement made by Governor DeSantis that he is appointing Collins to fill that vacancy of Lieutenant Governor. It is a vacancy that has been it's been open for several months since the previous Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez, decided to step down to take at the time, interim president role at Florida International University. She is now the president, the full president at FIU. So that created that vacancy that is now being filled by State Senator Jay Collins. We will talk about this coming up in our 2 o'clock show, Florida Live. We're going to talk with Politico, Gary Fineout, a reporter from Politico, Florida, about what this means, kind of the political ramifications of this, if it has any impact on the 2026 governor's race, what the impact is on the state legislature as well. So we'll talk about all that coming up a little bit later today here on Fox Local. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, and here is a live look of downtown Orlando and Lake Eola. There looks pretty calm and peaceful out there on the water on this Tuesday morning here live on Fox Local and on YouTube, and we appreciate you joining us. Still have more to get to. I know our hour is getting we're getting near the end of that, but we are going to extend our coverage because we still have several things we want to get to here this morning. Interesting conversation in the Seminole County Commission meeting that is going on today. They've got a couple of different things that we are monitoring, including discussion this afternoon that we expect on potentially raising the gas tax in Seminole County, raising that by another 5 cents. It would make it up to 12 cents. It is 7 cents per gallon right now, so that is something they're going to be discussing this afternoon and something we're watching closely, and we'll have more coverage on coming up at 2 o'clock on Florida Live and also 4 o'clock on Fox 35 News Plus. But the interesting discussion this morning as some county commissioners responded to a DOJ audit from Blaise Ngolia's office. They talked about the relationships between local government and state government as well, and I'm going to play that to kind of exchange for you, that conversation inside the commission meeting just a little bit ago.
You know, you can get little things done, but the fact of the matter is even then, it's a very difficult process because none of them seem to understand local government. And the process today is, you know, again, you know, their first act is to take away, you know, control, power, whatever you want to call it, from local government. And I'm going to throw out a DOJ because I think that is just you know, draconian in its thought process, especially when the state government is spending more money on what do they call it, Everglades Alcatraz or Alligator Alcatraz than our entire general budget of Seminole County. And so you know it's frustrating to even consider something like that. And you know, I just don't see the outrage from, you know, I see it from, you know, Association Counties, League of Cities, but I don't see it from those lobbyists that represent local government. And I'd like to see more of that. Just outrage of what they're doing and how they're doing it to local government. It doesn't make sense and it's not sustainable.
Yeah, understood.
I'm done.
Do you want to respond to that, Commissioner Lockhart? You have your hand before I go to Commissioner Glory.
Well, just a little bit. My Commissioner Her is shaking her head. No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, I'm happy to address that as you're coming down.
So all I would say, philosophically, and I cannot believe that I'm about to defend the big lobbying firms because that has never been my role. But I think we rely on different approaches to move the needle on different things. And if we're all outraged all the time, then there's no voice that is able to be in the room that is listened to, because outrage typically makes people tune out. And while I understand certainly where you're coming from, I have never had a good result from walking into a legislator's office outraged about anything.
It might be the wrong word. It might be the wrong word. But
I wanted to just make sure that, you know, there's different.
Yeah, I wanted to get across to Oscar. Oscar and I have a long history.
Well, you got it across to everybody watching. So I just wanted to make sure that there's some balance to the approach.
And lobby firms get paid a lot of money, and I respect what they do, but it's not all the time. I haven't heard it at all.
Commissioner Glory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, Lee, I can appreciate your concern, and I also appreciate Commissioner Lockhart's trying to redefine the right definition, because I think that's the right way to do it. And maybe the word to use is a level of concern instead of outrage. But I don't know what the right verb or adjective should be, but there is one. But I want to thank you all for the hard work you've done. It's important to have people up there in Tallahassee that not only understand the system, but also understands Seminole County and I think you all do a wonderful job at doing that, so thank you. The question that I have is, you mentioned that next year may be the year where they'll be looking at cities and counties and giving them a grade, you said. What would be the metrics that they'd be looking at? Is there any hint or any idea what that metrics would be? And as a follow-up question would be, would they be willing to do that to themselves?
I mean, the grade idea would be in reference to the DOGE efforts that they make within the county. So depending on how far along the county is in that process, I imagine, this is just conjecture, but I imagine the criteria will be how responsibly have you spent taxpayer dollars, how many keywords are within your different comp plans, you know, land, whatever have you, any public-facing document, and how well do you comply with, you know, having the threat of an audit, and how willing are you to share with the state my databases and, you know, my documents, stuff like that. That's what I imagine.
I just want a clarification on it.
I guarantee you won't be friendly.
Well, that's encouraging, Oscar. I'd rather look at.
I mean, I can't imagine it would be, given the current environment up there.
Okay. Thank you, Oscar, for your.
And no, they probably won't give themselves a grade.
So, Oscar, thank you for your vote of encouragement.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Commissioner Herr.
I absolutely think the idea of doging the counties is fabulous. Do it, score it, tell us how we win, we will win. And quite honestly, we ought to do it to all the constitutional officers and everybody that spends taxpayer money. I think it will evolve over time and become better. The first time you ever score anything, there's fault within the program, and then you provide feedback and you learn from it, and everybody grows by those things that are measured and reported. I've said that 1,000 times. So I can't get on board, and whether the state doges themselves or not, that's a whole separate question, and it doesn't matter to me, because we still spend our taxpayer money, and we should be accountable. So I'm a fan. Score it. I am less outraged. I am also not the person that spends a lot of time in Tallahassee. Concerned, maybe. Here's the end result from my perspective is that if we have you up there representing us and the Association of Counties representing us, we do the best work we can possibly do, and then it's incumbent upon us to respond appropriately to whatever it is the state does. They're not doing things for no reason. They're doing things because somebody caused a problem somewhere in the 67 counties where they did something goofy, and now we're reacting to it on a broad brush basis. And sometimes that's required. And then it settles back down. I think it's more our responsibility to respond appropriately and to be proactive about our planning around the things that they're thinking about. I think that's how government works. I would rather spend less time on that, on the outrage. I still think we need to do all the work that we're doing in lobbying, and I applaud the folks that are doing that on our behalf. I think where I come in is that we need to be responsible locally to accommodate whatever happens.
Well, thank you all for being here. I would just note, if you go to that first slide, what percentage of reserves the state government is keeping in reserves compared to their overall budget?
One more.
$115 million?
B.
A billion, I'm sorry.
Billion.
And the reserves are?
15 billion. This year.
That's this year,
That's
not
not
their
the
total.
That's not the total.
Right,
That's how much they
just
put in
this year.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's not the total number.
Yeah, I got it. It's total for this budget session.
Correct.
Got it. All I would say is, you know, the DOGE efforts, financially, I think it's a great idea. We are the stewards of taxpayers' dollars. But I would also say it's a slippery slope, depending on who's running the shout in Tallahassee. Because there may come a time where there's a DOGE effort that says, you don't have enough libraries in your community. You don't have enough social activities in your community. So I think although some things appear to be good and appropriate, I think we do need to be responsible for taxpayers' dollars and how they're expended. But we we've got to be real careful how we go about this.
That was the Seminole County Commission talking about DOJ audits. We should note that there has not been one announced at the state level of Seminole County government. We do know that DOJ audit teams are on the ground in the city of Orlando this week. They were on the ground in the Orange County last week getting information there. And so in the next couple of months, we'll start to see some of these reports come out, the initial reports from some of these first governments and localities that these audit teams are conducting these deep dives looking at spending and that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see once those results start coming out, what we see from those from all across the state, because we know there's been a number of them announced. Broward County, Gainesville, I believe Hillsborough County this week as well. So a number of them who are currently being audited by DOJ teams. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this. So keep it here on Fox Local and on YouTube.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, now afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to get you to the Lake County Board of County Commissioners meeting. A lot of meetings today on this Tuesday, popular day for many of those commission meetings. In Lake County, they were talking about growth and development, going through some of the growing pains that many counties do. Lake County has grown a lot in recent years. They just conducted a survey asking people about what they want to see, what they think of Lake County at the moment. They had 1,500 residents in Lake County complete this survey, and today they heard the results of it, what came from not just that survey, but also from 3 community meetings that were held last month. And so in this presentation that was given at today's Board of County Commissioners meeting, they heard some of the overarching themes, things like natural beauty, preservation, road improvement, water quality, affordability. We know that's a big issue, not just in Lake County, but all across the state. And there was also interesting conversation, and this is in a part of the clip that I'm about to play for you, as the commissioners talked about the need to get more input from the younger generation, because all of this discussion is part of what a comprehensive plan, what for the future would look like in Lake County. And so they kind of made the point that this is really for those future generations anyway. What do they want to see in Lake County, and what that development should look like over the next few years. So I want to play for you this clip as we hear first the discussion of some of the results of a word cloud and some of the things that come up from the beginning. This is Kelly Klepper, the Vice President of Kimley Horn, the group that conducted this survey for Lake County.
So we said, what one word describes Lake County today? We didn't edit this to make it look pretty. Why? Because it's not our job to say, you were wrong, citizens. This is what they felt. They said right now it's congested, it's crowded, it's uncontrolled, but then you start to see some of the other ones with small and beautiful, friendly, and a number of those other things. So we did have several positives, but you could see that was kind of that sentiment. And we start looking at the why, the what's and the whys behind some of that. And some of that is just because of, I'll say, a lack of understanding and lack of knowledge that the county has certain roles and responsibilities, as does the cities, as does the state. And a lot of times there's that blending that people don't understand. Oh, well, that's actually happening in this city. That's not something that this board has control over. But they see it as all one community. So we also ask another series of questions. We didn't for today's presentation go through all 4 of those, but we also also ask, what does the Lake County need more of? What's the biggest word that you see there? Conservation. One of the next biggest ones, parks. And then it's followed by infrastructure and housing and walkability. So again, people were very committed and engaged with, what do we want to see? What do we want to retain as Lake County? So again, hopefully you've had a chance to take a look through the summary report that we prepared. And at this point, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have with the Phase 1 survey and next phases as well.
All right, any questions? Commissioner Parks?
Yeah, Kelly, appreciate your whole team doing great work on these meetings, and it's a very important process for us to change our comp plan. I guess it was my question more about the next steps. So will it be what are the next steps? There'll be another round. One maybe specific question, you mentioned you had responses in all age groups. My one concern though is, are we getting enough from, I'll just characterize here, but like Gen Z, your 21-year-olds through 30, whatever, 35, whatever it is. It seems like we're still pretty low on that, getting enough data from them. And just anecdotally, what I hear is a lot of them feel like they're not even going to go to the meetings because they're just not going to be heard. I know that's not necessarily an excuse, but it is what it is. So what is there any plans coming up in the next steps to try to maybe focus on that, but have more meetings, and then what are our next steps, I guess?
So great question, Commissioner Parks. So round 2, we are going through and doing, I'll say, that evaluation of the comp plan. We're starting to develop some of those policies, so we're synthesizing this. So we will be going back out to the community, and it's actually, I believe, at the tail end of, as soon as I said that, I think I may have lost a page here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, might help if I actually put that slide up. So you can see on here what we're going to be doing over about the next 6 or so months is kind of compiling, refining the comprehensive plan, creating that series of edits. Then we're going to be going out to the community very much like we did here with the community outreach, the online, and to say, did we get it right? Did we hear you? Also, Joe, who is our public outreach guru, as I like to call him, we are talking actually later this week about to get to some of those individuals, the Gen Z. We're never going to get get them to come in and go, well, this is what we think, but you're not probably going to listen to me anyway. So there's alternative ways we need to get a little bit more creative. So Joe and his team are looking at that so that we can propose that as part of our next outreach efforts.
No, I appreciate that, because really that's who we're almost writing the plan for. Yes. They'll be entering the workforce, choosing to live here or not. I know we're writing it for people that are here too now, but for that next generation. So I appreciate the extra effort in that area.
One of the other things, and I've briefly mentioned this with staff, and I need to follow up a little bit more with Kathleen on this one. One of the ways that we've been able to get more of the parents and more of the youth involved is, and we've done this and it's been a huge success, have an art competition across the schools. Have them design the divider pages for each of the topics. Get them involved at that level. Have a presentation here at the board chambers recognizing, the 10, 11, 12 individuals from across the county. So that's going to take a little coordination on our part with Kathleen and more importantly with the school district. The great thing is, I'll say you have a great relationship with the school district. So that truly helps.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Hold on, we have a couple questions. So, Commissioner Smith?
So I had that as two of my bullet points. First of all, thank you for all the time and effort you put in. I know you've met with each of us, and you've done a lot of community outreach. Some of my bullet points was, since this is a 2050 plan, have we, and you've kind of touched on it just a minute ago, gone to the seniors of the high schools and the college age students here to see if they're interested? We need to go to them. They're not going to come to us. So we need to go to them, to where they are, to see if we can't get them the survey, to have them fill out where they are, either in the high school or in the college, to see their thought process. Because as Commissioner Parks says, this is actually going to be for their future growing up, and then their kids, and then hopefully some of them will become of our community leaders and continue this effort going forward. But I would suggest reaching out to the school board to see if we can even go to the high schools and present a survey, either to 11th and 12th graders or just to 12th graders, and then to the LSCC or LSSC president, to see if we can't get some surveys out to all their college students there.
Great comment.
Other than that, it's a fantastic presentation.
Yeah, and I will say Katie Magruder, who can't be here today, is watching, so I know she's taking notes equally as much.
Commissioner Sabatini?
Isn't there, this is a question, but also sort of a discussion point. Obviously, I think a comprehensive plan that controls the bad growth that's coming in is key, although currently it looks like we're not going to be able to do that because of Senate Bill 180, and I don't want this to happen, but I almost feel like the wisest thing to do is really pump the brakes on this and just pause, not because of what I want, but because of the actual political and legal reality, which is that Senate Bill 180 seizes everything, and there's been no firm commitments from anybody in the legislature that they're going to amend it. They're saying maybe, but they're probably not. And then the Department of State just essentially attacked Orange County's new comp plan, which wasn't even that aggressive. I mean, it was just common sense, really, in my opinion. And administratively, they said, this is null and void. We're going to, we're fighting against that. So you have this two-faced front. I don't want to slow down this process, but I almost feel like we really should, because it's just a waste of time and money if we know that the well-crafted, very community-driven document we end up with is non-implementable. We have 1,000 Friends of Florida and other people here that could speak to it, and I'm not trying to draw a whole huge discussion, because I think obviously we could do that at a different agenda. But
we're going to be doing it later in our agenda about Senate Bill 180.
So it's unfortunate. I'm not saying like it's a good thing. I'm not applauding it, but that's where we're at right now, and I just almost want to the board to consider maybe pausing this whole project just for a little bit, because I just feel like we're going to end up with a product that can't be implemented.
So the adoption portion is pretty far down the line, though. So it would seem like, I understand making the point in order to draw attention to the detrimental impacts of Senate Bill 180, but because the adoption process is so far down the line, why not use this time in order to work on getting this just right? And so when we get to the point of adoption, then we'll know what's happened with the bill. Has it been fixed? Have there been provisions made for things like comprehensive planning that were required by state law to do within certain timeframes? So that would be one point. And the other point is that, and I think I led with this when we started this whole conversation about our comp plan, and it goes to the slide, the one-word slide, and the big word congested and overcrowded and all of that. This comp plan, as much as we like to think that it is setting the bar for the whole county. It's only addressing the unincorporated areas of Lake County. We don't have jurisdiction over the cities and municipalities here in Lake County. So it's kind of a sort of comprehensive plan for Lake County, but it's only for unincorporated Lake County.
So that was a part of the discussion in Lake County a little bit ago about the plan and the results from the growth survey, as well what people wanted to see and some of those discussions. It was an interesting point raised by Commissioner Sabatini, who was talking about SB 180, which is that Florida law we talked about last week on our show that was designed to help with hurricane recovery, trying to ease some restrictions, streamline permitting processes for rebuilding after disasters, but there are some apparently unintended consequences that we have seen from that, including the restrictions on certain planning documents and other regulations at the local level. It led to the basically striking down of Orange County's comprehensive plan that they call Vision 2050. And so there are now some people calling for partial repeal of this bill to address some of these unintended consequences. And so that's what Commissioner Sabatini was referring to when he was talking about SB 180 and whether it's kind of an exercise in futility to continue moving forward with this comprehensive plan anyway in Lake County. We're going to take one more break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back with more after this, so keep it here on Fox Local and on YouTube.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We heard from the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive coordinator today. The Jags coming off a 25-31 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in their preseason opener over the weekend. I want to play for you the defensive coordinator talking about some of the injuries they're seeing, some of the position battles on defense as well, and what he thinks about how the Jags are looking at this point in the preseason.
First game, preseason, you see stuff like that, and you get better at everything. Well, that's what we're focused on right now. I think the guys have done a great job of that the last 2 days. So working hard and getting that right. And they did a lot of good things, too.
First time calling a game for you on the sidelines, just what was that like?
Yeah, did it in college a bunch when I was at Boston College, but it was good. It was fun, you know what I mean? And watching the guys compete. We didn't give them a whole lot. It was kind of a small menu of what we did. But, you go back like every other game, correct what's incorrect, try and get it right. walk through it, get out here and practice it, and that's kind of what we're doing in the process of everything here at camp.
What sort of positives did you see from Saturday? Not just the first team, but everything.
Yeah, I thought the positives probably where I thought we did a good job in the run game overall. We were physical in the front. The 4-minute stop, that was good to see at the end of the game. Thought the guys kept competing that way. 3 and out early in the game was good, but a lot of things to correct, but definitely some positives there. And like I said, I thought the run game, we did a pretty good job overall.
Ron said they got you guys with some tempo. How do you prepare for that here this week?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job preparing for that. Like I said, a lot of that is communication, just getting your cleats in the ground, ready to go. So I think, the guys have done a great job with that in the last 2 days, so I think we'll be ready for that. Yeah.
Is that anything like the communication stuff, anything that was more than what you would normally expect for a first preseason game?
Yeah, I thought some of it, I wanted it to be better than it was, if that's what you're asking, for sure. But, got new guys out there and new system, and we're working on that, and we'll get it right.
With Tyson Campbell down for a day or however many days, Christian Braswell has sort of been put in there. How has he performed this whole camp, and where have you seen his progress?
He's done a great job. He's competed really hard the whole camp. I thought today he had a good practice. He's been physical, so pleased with his effort to this point.
Getting Dennis Gardeck, full team drills, what's it been like just starting to see him one?
Been great. He's a high effort guy if you've ever watched him play. He practices physical. He had some really physical reps today. I think he brings a lot of good traits out there on the field with him. He's a good pass rusher, physical in the run game, so excited to have him out there.
Travis Hunter out there a lot on defense today, and
yeah,
got to see a drive from him on Saturday night.
Yeah.
How do you feel about how he's progressing at corner?
He's doing a good job. He's progressing every day. Like I said, he's done a great job with splitting time on offense and defense. So it's a tough task, but he's handled it really, really well. And like anything else, there's things to correct, but some things he did really good the other day.
When you guys were sitting down before this track camp started, and you're trying to come up with a schedule for Travis and how you're going to use him and all that other stuff, who do you call to kind of get advice on that? You know what I mean? Like, there's no precedent to look at and go.
I think Liam, like I said before a couple weeks ago, did a great job just laying that out, and it seemed very, very. He had total clarity as to how he wanted to do it. He really presented it in an easy way for all of us to understand, and he's managed Travis's time really, really well out here every day. So he really was kind of the guy that drove the process on that, and I think he did a really good job with it.
Interior of the defensive line, obviously depth kind of a question with no Eric, no Mason right now. What have you seen from the guys who have been out there? Yeah, they competed hard. I thought Smoot had a good game the other day. The guys inside I thought played pretty well overall. Like I said, in the run game, they played physical. We got some knockback and we're grinding blocks, but like everybody else, it's a process. We're looking to improve every day with all these guys. I think you guys signed Austin Johnson, last Monday?
Yeah, he's been great. He's a total pro. He fit right in, coming in the room. He's been working his ass off every day. Really good dude. I'm happy to have him here.
You talked about wanting to see maybe some tighter coverage on that third down or whatever it was. Did you guys just want to play all zone soft all day, or was that not soft, but?
No, I think some of that is situational awareness. You want to be tighter on guys, especially on the third downs. You can't give them that space that we gave them on a couple reps the other night. But part of that is some young guys and getting that right over the course of the game and correcting those things when you come back in. And that's where we're at in camp right now,
That is the Jacksonville Jags defensive coordinator speaking about where things stand with the defense right now for the Jags at this point in the preseason after dropping that preseason opener. Well, thanks for joining us this morning and this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be back at 2 o'clock with more Florida Live and another live hour of Fox 35 News Plus coming up at 4 p.m. 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. weekdays, live hours here on Fox Local and also other times as news warrants. So we are your spot for breaking news and other developing stories throughout the day here on Fox Local. As we wrap up here, I do want to go ahead and leave you with some tracking tools as we watch Tropical Storm Erin off the coast of Africa in the eastern tropical Atlantic. You can also see that Saharan dust that Brooks was talking about that is having an impact on that. So thanks for joining us. We will see you in a little bit. Keep it here on Fox Local.